Hello friends, so today's video is going to be a list of some DNFs. I'm going to mention some manga, video games, and TV shows. If you've discovered this channel separate from my main channel, which is book-centered, we'll often use the term DNF as did not finish, and we'll sometimes use it as a verb. So we'll say, I DNF'd this book, I did not finish this book. And I'm applying that same thing to the types of content that I cover here on this channel. I'll go ahead and start with a manga that is not completely off the table. It's one that I could see myself coming back to in the future, but every time I planned on picking it back up this particular quarter, I just found I never really was all that inclined, and that would be Silver Spoon. I was so excited to start Silver Spoon because many of you know I'm a huge fan of Full Metal Alchemist, and so I was really excited to read something else by them, and it was fine. I enjoyed aspects of it. It is much more a slice of life. If you don't know, it's about a young boy who is going to this farm school, this agriculture school, and he is very much a fish out of water as he has no expertise whatsoever in anything to do with agriculture, and the rest of the students do. So he is clueless and you're kind of learning alongside him. Arakawa, from what I understand, I believe did grow up on a farm, and so a lot of it feels very realistic, but it is a little more slice of life than I was expecting. Not that everything has to be on the level that Full Metal Alchemist is. I wasn't really sure what I was going to be getting into, but I was excited for it nonetheless. And my dog is grumbling so much if you hear her. She's tired. It's past her bedtime. But regardless, getting back to Silver Spoon. So it just didn't have anything that was really compelling me to pick it back up. Again, it's not one I've completely written off because there were aspects of it that I enjoyed. It did seem like there were parts of the characters' backstories that likely had more depth the further along you went, and I understand that you're not going to reveal your hand too soon because it's much more of a reflection of real life where the students, they're not going to know everything about each other as soon as they meet each other. They're going to have first impressions, so you as the reader are going to have first impressions, and then the story is going to force you to kind of push back on those. But that did mean that the beginning of the story wasn't really gripping me that much. We'll see. Maybe in the future I'll pick it back up. It's readily available at my library, so I can always give it another try in the future if it's calling to me. The next one would be Solo Leveling. I don't think I've actually had a chance yet to discuss this one on my channel, but it was fine. I'm a little bummed because I was really highly anticipating picking this one up. I wasn't even planning on picking it up this quarter, but every time I would see it, I was like, I just want to get to it now. I kind of wanted to abandon the rest of the stories that I had planned to pick up because it just seemed so enticing. And it was a little underwhelming. So the setup is you follow this young man in what is basically our world, but there has been something that has occurred that has allowed monsters to come into our world, and there are some individuals that they got a boost in energy that allows them to fight back against these monsters better than the average human would. And our main character is somebody who he did get this boost of energy, but so minuscule that he might as well not even be a hunter of these particular beasts, but he does it anyway because he needs the money. And so you are following him, and right from the beginning, you see him getting involved in a hunt that he should not be involved with. He's not prepared whatsoever. And you see the repercussions of that. But it does allow him to gain some upgrades, some leveling up, that then makes him a much more interesting hunter. But I feel like that's where the interesting components kind of stopped for me. So much of the story was just let's fight monsters, or sometimes there's corruption within the monster hunting that then makes us want to fight humans. And it was a lot of just fighting. And I like action in my stories. I like action in my manga, and it was beautifully illustrated. It's also in color, so that was a nice bonus. But it didn't really have the depth that I was hoping for. I wanted a little bit more to the character, a little more personality from him. I wanted a little bit more from the relationships that we were introduced to. A big one being his relationship with his mother, who is ill. It's part of why he wants money in the first place, is to help take care of her and his sister. I wanted to see more relationship building with him and his sister. There are only so many volumes out right now, so maybe as the story goes on, there is additional depth. This is once again another one that I haven't completely written off. Maybe someday I'll pick it back up. If you've read on, if you know where the story goes and you know that you get a lot more depth, feel free to let me know. But as of right now, it was cool, but not really one that I see myself picking back up. Speaking of monster hunting, I was so excited for the game Wild Hearts. I thought it looked phenomenal. I thought it looked like a lot of fun. I do enjoy playing video games with my husband and with our friends, and it seemed like a new video game that I would have the opportunity to do that with. But I started it and then I was pretty bored almost immediately. So I don't know how much time I'm really going to dedicate to this game. I don't know if I'm really going to make much of an effort to make content centered around that game. I just think it seems like another Monster Hunter-esque game where there's not a whole lot else to it. I thought the game mechanics looked like they were going to be really fun. It seemed like you're going to have to strategize a lot more, but pretty quickly, like I said, I just was a little bored. The gameplay was a little clunky. Maybe with some updates it'll get better. We'll see. But besides that one, I did make a video, a first impressions video for the game Forspoken. I was very disappointed with that game. I did not really enjoy the experience. It was a lot of sitting around and not in a fun RPG or Telltale game kind of way where you're like, I'm just here for the story. And every now and then if I have to press some buttons for the dialogue to move on or a turn-based system or something like that, then fine. It seemed very much like it was going to be much more of you have to concentrate, you have to strategize as to which spells you're going to use. So it seemed like the combat was going to be a little bit more intense. And it kind of was, but then it didn't ever feel like I actually got to play. When it did open up and I finally could go explore the world felt so empty, and I was immediately bored, to use that same word again. I was pretty bored with it. I'm disappointed because I thought it looked amazing. I've been anticipating this game for so long, and I don't know if I'm going to continue. As of right now, I don't plan to. There's plenty of other video games that I would rather dedicate my time to. I only have so much time, right? We all only have so much time, and I don't really want to pour hours and hours and hours into a game just to say I did. The last couple of things are not, they're TV shows, and they're not shows that I started this quarter. They're just ones that after thinking about it, when they do get their next seasons, I don't care. And that would be The Witcher Netflix adaptation and the Wheel of Time adaptation on Amazon. I'll start with Witcher. A lot of you know I'm a huge Witcher fan. I've been a huge Witcher fan for a very long time, since The Wild Hunt, like a lot of you. And after playing The Wild Hunt and falling head over heels for it, I then picked up the books, and I enjoy the books. And I was so excited for that Netflix adaptation. And the first season, I wasn't very impressed. I didn't really care for it. I didn't hate it with a burning passion, but I also didn't really enjoy it that much. And then for the second season, I figured, okay, well, maybe that first season, obviously the timeline, adapting the unconventional timeline maybe made it so that that first season was going to have some clunkiness to it, but maybe second season will find its footing and we'll get the story moving. And I didn't really like the second season either. I thought it was fine. It's frustrating because every now and then there's moments that are really well done, or there's certain plot lines that are executed very well. I still stand by, in the second season, the first episode was, I thought, very well done, but so much of the rest of it wasn't really. So I really don't think I'm going to continue on. I haven't really enjoyed the first two seasons. The third season, it's going to be strange the whole time knowing that they're going to replace Geralt. So that's a strange element to it, and I just don't know that I think the Netflix adaptation, I was about to say knows what it's doing, but that feels so mean. I don't care. I don't care for it. That's really all it comes down to. And then last, Wheel of Time. I don't care for that one either. I thought it was kind of cheesy. Witcher was kind of cheesy too, but I thought Wheel of Time was kind of cheesy. I wasn't really a fan of the books either, so I figured, well, I didn't love the books, but I do think there's a lot of potential with this story. I think there's a lot you can do with it that would be really interesting. I'm not sure about an adaptation purely because there's so much in the books that I imagine they're going to have to cut a lot out. And there were certain things they cut that I thought, okay, that makes sense. And then there's other things where I was kind of confused, even as somebody who wasn't a book fan, why they would cut certain things or change certain things the way they did. And I just didn't think it looked very good either. I wasn't a fan. So when that second season comes out, I don't plan on watching it. Whenever the second season is scheduled for, I don't even know. But regardless, those are some DNFs, some of which came about from this quarter and some the decision came this quarter. But I would love to know what your thoughts are on any of the stories I've mentioned, and then what are some things that you picked up you were really excited for but ultimately you don't plan to continue on with. But anyway, that's it for today. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.